working with Dre, working with Missy, how are they similar? How are they different?
They're critiquing their craft. Like they're not different whatsoever. They just like everything to be right, and if everything has to be right. Even with her, she's more crafted at her lyrics and her wordplay than I was. So I learned a lot when I was hanging around her. You know what I mean? Because like even Dre was like telling me, he was like, he was like, he's like, knock, you dope. I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. He said, yeah, but out the booth. I said, what the hell this fool just said to me? And then I was like, I walked out the book. I was like, what are you talking about when I walked out the vocal booth? He's like, nah, the way that you rapping in here in my face when you rapping it to me is not the way you rapping in there. I just threw my notepad down. Like, you know what? I got something for you. I threw my notepad down and I told him, turn the mic on. Went back in there and I just freestyled. That's how I came up with the verse to Bang Bang. When I just freestyled the verse. That's how that came about. I was like, okay, well, forget this paper then. I'm tired of sounding like a robot. It's time for me to just go in there and be me.
Okay. And how are you did you just do that from then on then? You left the writing alone? Because sometimes you do tell really detailed and great stories.
That's when I sit down and I write it from start to finish when it's my actual own song by myself. Other than that, I can freestyle any verse I want to. Like, but when I'm doing it from start to finish by myself, I always write it.
Okay.
So I make sense throughout the whole song. But if I hear somebody's subject matter or whatever, hear what they on, I can go in there and get on their subject or whatever, and just and mock their style and mock them and get on their style and just do what I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I can get like a whole bunch of rappers, but they can't get like me.
Well, one thing too.
I think on my next song, I'm gonna make a song called "Get Like Me." I think I'm gonna mimic a whole bunch of rappers, and then I'm gonna do my style after that. I'm gonna name the song "Get Like Me" because I can get like them, but they can't get like me. So I think I'm gonna mimic them and come up with their style and sound like them. And then I'm gonna do another verse and tell them, "Now you get like me."
Yeah, because one of the things that makes you distinctive, I would say, and that most people don't do, is oftentimes you have space between your words. You're not like always rapping. You give room to breathe and pause and those type of things. So how and why did you develop that, and why do you think it works so well for you?
I'm not sure. I think that's more like because okay, back when I was in middle school, I used to write poems. You know what I mean? So like, and like, I wouldn't be like one of those boys that be like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Had a check yes or check no box. I'll write a woman a poem and just give it to her, and then she came and be like, "Oh, that was so sweet." Then I'd be like, "Okay, she likes me." You know what I mean? If she didn't say nothing to me, I'd be like, "Okay, well, she don't like me, so what?" But it usually worked out 9 times out of 10. But so like really when I do, rap is called recording abstract poetry. You know what I mean? So being abstract is even writing poetry. You got to get in between the beat and say what you want to say and say what you feel. But as long as it's going along with the beat, it's all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
There's
crazy.
a lot of people that can't do that though, and there's a lot of monotone rappers out there too that can't change their voice and change their style up. But you
Yes.
can't listen to a whole monotone album of a monotone rapper. It'll get on your nerves after a while.
That's for sure. So with these notes you would be writing to girls, how did it not bother you if the girl was like didn't like it or wasn't responding to you? Like that didn't bother you at all? You just kept it moving?
Nah, I just feel like she didn't like me. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe I need to write a different poem. Maybe she didn't like that poem. Let me try another one. But if I tried 2 or 3 of them, she didn't respond. I'd be like, okay, she just don't like me. Move on to the next one.
Okay. Fair enough. Now with Bad Intentions, that's one of my favorite songs that you were on, but I also thought that Mahogany, the instrumental, the beat was so incredible. So how'd you guys get that beat, and how did that end up?
Well, first of all, the beat didn't start off like that. Dre's the one that heard the potential in that beat, and Mahogany came, and Dre heard the potential with that beat, And Dre got the famous flute player. I forget her name at the time, but she plays flute for like a major orchestra. And she's a female, but he had a sample in there, and so Dre redid the structure of the beat and got the flute player on there. You know what I mean? Because the beat did not sound like that at all. But Dre's one that saw the potential of the beat, and he just made it better. That's what Dre's good at doing. You know what I mean? He does that a lot. He'll hear your beat, it'll be mediocre, but by the time he put his twist on it, it's 100 times better.
Right. Okay. Huh. Now, what about with that being on the Wash soundtrack and Straight West Coast also being on the Wash soundtrack? How is that for you with a song getting a video and all that stuff, but also being on a soundtrack? How did that end up working out or being different?
Well, really, you see, I wasn't in the movie because most of the time I was, I wrote the song that Shantas that used to do music with Timberland. I wrote that song. I was in there with Busta Rhymes. I helped him with that hook. I was in there. I basically helped orchestrate the whole Watch soundtrack. That's why I'm not in the movie, because I was too busy doing the soundtrack while they was doing the movie. So basically, that was the first soundtrack I ever had a majority help in trying to put together. Is that? And I got another soundtrack out right now. I got two. One is called Snow Black, and that's out. And another one's called Mad as Hell, and that's out. So I got 8 more soundtracks to do. Not only am I just doing my music, I'm got soundtracks to do. It's with Mayhem Films. So I got a 10-year soundtrack deal with them through Mayhem Films, and on the top it's always gonna say Knoc-Turn'al Presents, and it's gonna say whatever the name of the movie is, the soundtrack. You know what I
mean? Because the All About the Dough, I remember that's on the Snow Black as well, right?
Yeah, that's but Battle Cat made that beat.
And that was a while ago though.
Yeah. But I'm just now using it.
Yes, I remember from back in the day. So why does it fit? Because that song's, I think, almost 20 years old now. Why does it fit on Snow Black, do you think?
Well, cause I just when it came to when I do the soundtracks and I send the songs to the director, and his name is Robert Parham, by the way. And whenever he likes the songs that I send him, he places them in the movie where he feels like they need to be. You know what I mean? I don't pick the songs, and after he picks the songs that he wants, it's my job to go back and orchestrate the album, and put it together, and make it sound right. But he's the one that does the product placement in the movie for the songs. And when he gives me the list of all the songs he wants, I got to go back in and put all the songs together and make sure they're right and make sure they make sense.
Okay.
Making a soundtrack is a little easier than making an album, because I could use a whole bunch of different songs of other people and all that. It's a little easier. But when you're trying to do it by yourself, you're a solo artist, it's a little more rough. You know what I mean? But the soundtrack is like halfway easier.
So how did you get the quote unquote assignment then to do the Wash soundtrack? How did that end up happening?
Well, I wasn't in the movie, so Dre was always recording the movie and doing all that stuff. I went up there and checked out a couple scenes, whatever. But Dre sat me there with Mel-Man, and he used to come in and do other beats too, and tell Mel-Man to pull up some beats for me, and they was just telling me to write and work. You know what I mean? And then Hitman was there, of course, and Busta Rhymes had just joined Aftermath at the time. I mean, there was a bunch of people there. You know what I mean? And Shanta was on Aftermath at the time. I mean, there's a bunch of people there to do the music for it. It was pretty easy. It wasn't as difficult as just doing a solo album.
Okay.
There's a bunch of people there.
So then with LA Confidential, why didn't it ever join with Aftermath with you? Why did you go to Elektra instead?
Well, I wanted to build my own label, but I told Dre I would write for him exclusively. You know what I mean? If he just helped me build my label, which was LA Confidential. And he said, all right, no problem. Because at the time, like Aftermath, Dre had like 250 artists signed to him, and I was like, "Do I look like a shelf artist to you? I don't want to be 251. Just help me build my label. I'll write for you." He was like, "All right, cool." So he gave me like 7 beats for it. I mean, It's supposed to be 10. I think Dre still owe me 3 beats.
Yeah. Well, I will say
Dre's cool.
on the Knox Landing project, the I Like is one of my favorite beats on there. So and that one's got singing on the chorus and different things. So
Yeah.
with that beat in particular, what made you go that lyrical direction that you did with I Like?
Well, Dr. Dre recognized that I was an on beat, off beat rapper. You know what I mean? Like I could be on beat, I could be off beat, and it still make it come back around and make sense. So that's why he made me that beat like that. You know what I mean? And so I just got in between it and did what I was supposed to do. And Black Rose, a singer, he helped me do the hook. You know what I mean? He's the one singing in between. I'm like, I like, you're like badass bitches, it ain't just for sale, don't like. I'm just going in between. He's singing the other part, Black Rose. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Gotcha. And then getting in with Elektra, being that, of course, they had the West Coast office as well, but they were based in New York. What pros did you see of having the label based somewhere else, and what cons did you see?
No, they had an office out here too.
Yeah,
In
Beverly
Hollywood.
Hills. I
Yeah,
I,
Beverly Hills. They had an office out here too.
I went to it many times,
I would go up there all the time.
but
And Jay
did
Brown was up there. He was basically the one. He was basically Jay Brown was basically the one running.
okay. So did you? It seemed like everything was good.
Yeah,
Okay,
everything was just fine. I can go up there anytime I want to. I was walking in, tell them whatever I needed, tell them what I wanted, and they just made it happen.
well, that is a beautiful thing.
They was serious about it. Yeah, they was
Yeah,
serious. They weren't playing with me. They was happy to have me. They knew they had a diamond in the road. They just polished me up real good, made me shine, look good. That's all. I
yeah,
never thought that I was gonna end up being a shining star. I never even thought that I would be called a living legend at this point. But because really I was just writing for Dre. I really wasn't tripping like that, and I really wasn't even tripping off of being in the limelight or none of that. But it's just God, it's God's will. It is what it is. I didn't think that it would become to where I ended up becoming being called a living legend. I mean that was amazing to me. But now I'm trying to be now that I'm a living legend. Now my mom said, okay, now that you're a living legend, my mom was like, well, how you gonna become an icon? I said, well, I got to figure that out. I never thought about that one either.
well, you keep putting out music and doing film and scores and stuff, you'll get there. You're on your way.
Right, indeed.
On
Yes,
your
sir. Yes,
way.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
then, so then, of course, Warren G's also on Knox Landing. So,
Mm-hmm.
how did your relationship develop and evolve with Warren G?
The Warren, he's from Long Beach. I'm from Long Beach. So I basically grew up with them. Him and Nate Dogg, God rest his soul. And so, I wrote when he put out a Return of the Regulator, I wrote 5 songs for that, for him, for that. So I mean, I'm a good songwriter, and I do good music myself. You know what I mean? So Warren G is a cool dude, but like I just went to his studio and he was like, "I'm not about to put out Return of the Regulator," and I was like, "Okay, let's get it." But when I asked Warren G, would he do a song with me? And he's like, "Yeah." And then Nate Dogg came to the studio. They were both with it. It was hurry up and did it. And then I did had the first single for the Terrorist Threats album with Ice Cube and
The lights
Ice
out.
Cube, Mac 10. Yeah, like I said, yeah. And Damian Young did the beat for that. You know what I mean? And then they shot a video for it. That was the first single of the Terrorist Threats album. So I mean, I've done a whole lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And I had the first Transporter movie with Jason Statham. He was in the video with me on the music video, and that was the first video for the Transporter movie, the very first Transporter movie. So I mean, I've been around doing a whole lot of things for a long time. It's just my children grown. They know they got cars. They in college. It's time for me to come back down and do my thing. I ain't got to worry about staying at home and taking care of them. They in college. They having fun. They got cars. They chilling. It's time for me to come back and have fun.
Yeah, clearly you're doing
Right.
you're doing it. So with
Right.
with Dr. Dre, with Warren G, with yourself, as you're writing for other people at this point in your career, before you get the lights out, how were you able to? How do you get into that mentality of I'm gonna write for this is how Dr. Dre would write or talk or do it, or Warren G
Well,
or whoever.
I mean, the smartest thing to do when you do something like that is you go buy as many. That's when you can buy albums. You go buy as many albums as you can that they've done, and you sit down and you listen and you listen to what they can and they can't say, how they say this, and what type of style they got. And that's the way I did it, to where it would be undeniable when I give it to them, because I already know their style, and I put myself in the style. And when I go in the vocal booth, I would just mimic their style and mimic their voice. And so it would be easy for them to go back in and just rap it, because I would mimic them. You know what I mean? That's why I said I'm gonna do that song called "Get Like Me," because I can get like people, they just can't get like me.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap, written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.